Hey guys, in this video I'm going to be introducing you to the new character, Kevin. Kevin is a new type of character in what I call the K01 architecture. This is a new series of characters that I'll be producing that falls under a certain archetype series of different characters that are specifically designed for use in like feature style animation. This is animation reminiscent of the Disney characters and DreamWorks characters that were used in the late 90s and that are still being used in 2D feature style animation even today. So first of all, if you haven't installed Kevin, you'll be able to find him under your installation folder. Now your installation will vary depending on whether you downloaded the character from Reallusion or if you manually installed them. Also, you don't have to install this. If you're a member of toontitan.com, you can download him at any time from the website and just grab him and drop him into your project at any time. In this case, I have installed him into my Toon Titan folder inside of my template area here. So I'm going to search through my characters here, and here is the new character. Basically, Kevin, this is going to be the base character. So we're going to start off with the base model, and the workflow is very similar to the old Billy 2.0 workflow, where you grab your base model and then you start modifying them to make them look the way that you want them to look. So I have dragged and dropped my Kevin base model into the stage, and at this point I can do two things. If I just want to use them as is, I can go ahead and start changing the colors and things, but I'm going to go ahead and dress them up for starters. So I'm going to go into the composer mode, and composer mode should be available to you if you have the pro version and pipeline version of your of Crazy Talk Animator. I'm not sure if it's available in the standard version, but if it is, then great. This doesn't require any SWF imports or anything like that. It's just basic modifications using parts that are already available. So I'm going to start by going into the body tab of my content manager, and I'm going to look for the upper, and I'm going to locate my installation folder. And here I have the K01 crew shirt. I'm just going to drag and drop it directly into my base model. And as time progresses, I will have more options available in terms of the characters' outfits and body modifications, especially come Halloween. There's going to be various costume changes and like monster modifications available for this particular character. So here I have the shirt applied, and of course it is a G2 character, so all the angles have been accurately mapped against the character. Feel free to just kind of inspect him. If there's anything that's out of whack, that doesn't quite look right, feel free to adjust it. For example here, let's see here, I think I saw it. See, like right here, in this particular angle, you can see that the neck is kind of like sticking out over here. So I'm going to select that bone, and I'm just going to send it to the back. So that kind of fixes that. So just give your character a quick once over, make sure everything looks right before actually starting to work with him and committing to any kind of animation workflow with him. And this applies to pretty much any character, not just Kevin. That looks pretty good for the most part. So I'm just going to go ahead and move on. I'm going to locate my lower folder, and I'm going to grab the skinny jeans, drop them directly into the base model. One of the things that I'm going to be making heavy use on in the new characters is the global shading Basically, this is a new style of coloring that I've kind of stumbled upon that I really like, and I'll be commenting more about that a little bit later on in this video. But basically, global shading, basically certain parts will have shading applied, whether it's highlights or shades that basically are going to stay consistent throughout those elements regardless of what the base color changes to. So in this case the shirt is blue, so if I change it to red, the shirt's going to change to red, and the shading will also be consistent with that that shadow for that red color without actually having to modify that shade. So that's a pretty cool time saver, and it allows us to use the mapping functions for other colors without having to waste a slot for those color mappings. It's really cool. I'll be demonstrating that a little bit later on. So I'm going to go ahead and grab some shoes for this character. And the thing about shoes is that you can pretty much use any of the previous shoes that have been designed either for Billy 2.0, Billy 1.0, or any of the Real Illusion characters. Now some of the design styles might be a little bit different, that might not match up, but in terms of fitting and everything, they should work just fine with some minor adjustments. So I'm going to go ahead and grab, let's see here, some shoes. I'm going to use these K01 generic shoes. I'm going to drop them directly on him. Okay, so now we have our shoes. And again, you know, just kind of pay attention to how the items are applied to the characters. Sometimes they don't land the way they're supposed to be right off the bat, so you might have to do some minor tweaks and adjustments. So in this case, I can see that the shoes were placed on top of the shins. I'm going to select the shoe here, and I'm going to turn off these bones so I can see my character a little bit better. I'm going to send those shoes to the back. I'm not going to do too many adjustments, but if you are using shoes from a different character, such as these fancy leather shoes that were built for Billy 2.0, you might want to, you know, do some size adjustments and stuff just to make them a little bit more, more consistent with the character. Here I can see that the joint mask is a little bit off, so I'm going to go into the scene manager, select my joint mask section, and I'm just going to grab this joint mask, pull it up a little bit, and I'm just going to toggle my angle a little bit just to kind of inspect the other angles. That looks pretty decent. That looks okay. You can adjust the sizes as needed if you want. This is your character. You can do whatever you want with him. So if you want him to have big feet, small feet, whatever, it doesn't matter. You know, ultimately you'll probably want to adjust them to your own custom needs. In this case right now, for demonstration purposes, I just want it to look okay. That looks about right. We'll send this to the back. And it's not really difficult. It's just you know, some minor tweaks and stuff. And let's go back here. I missed a spot. Select that shoe, joint mask. We'll just adjust that joint mask right there so we don't have that little visual imperfection there. You don't have to be too perfect about how you do things either. Click that mirror option so I can adjust this foot a little bit, and that way the other foot gets adjusted as well. You don't have to be perfect about it. Once you start animating and stuff, you can adjust all these sprites as needed based on the sequence that you're performing. And of course, you know, because these are fairly generic, technically you could leave the shoe as is. It doesn't really look that bad by being in front, but I'm just choosing to have the pant legs just kind of go over the shoes in this particular demo. That should be enough. I mean, we have a fully dressed character. He looks okay to me. And now you can use Kevin as is, of course. You'll know that you also have options for adjusting the proportions. So if we click on our actor proportion button here, we can play around with different body proportion settings. For example, we're going to go with this airhead option. Give it a few seconds to kind of adjust itself, and then we start adding weight. So, you know, you can start tweaking the character based on his body proportions. And this will give you a general body proportion modification. We'll go with the stretchy. So if you want him to be taller, more slender, you can do that as well. And this, of course, is just your defaults, okay? Because even if you do this, you can further manipulate this by, you know, adjusting certain things. So here, I'm using this stretchy option, and now I'm going to select this neck. I'm going to readjust it a little bit, just to kind of bring his head back to sort of normal. And you know, you could just play with the different body parts depending on how you want your character to look. So you can make your own custom configuration of the character. You can have them have all sorts of different body modifications by just tweaking some of these settings here. So if you want them to be tall and skinny, you can make that happen. Let's Control Z our way back. Actually, I think I could just reset the character from here somewhere. Default. No, it didn't quite work the way I was planning. We'll just do Control Z to bring him back to normal. I just wanted to quickly show you, like, you can actually do the body modifications fairly easy using the actor proportions options. Just undo a couple more steps. That actually looks kind of cool right there. All right, so I think we're back to normal. Now, so that'll adjust the body proportions. Feel free to play around with them. There's different options that you can try out. The bottom heavy is good if you want to make like a female variation of this character. And as time goes on, I will have additional mods, like a female mod and different ways of configuring him further. But for now, with the default options, there's still plenty to work with. So let's take a look at his face, okay? Let's say you don't want to stick with the default Kevin look. Let's go for something a little bit different. So we'll take these eyes, and I'll get this mirror option here. That way the modifications apply to the other side. I'll go ahead and use the angle linked option too, so that some of these modifications will also take place on the other angles. I'll tweak the eyes a little bit like this. And a trick to this is if you move a sprite as you drag, click the right mouse button, and that'll force it to stay like that once you deactivate it. we can also go ahead and adjust the size of the eyes. You can already see that simply by adjusting the eyes, he already looks like a different character. So there's all sorts of things that you can do with this at this point, just with these default options. We can adjust the placement of the eye sprites. Let's go back a little bit. Accidentally clicked on the face sprite. So make the eyes further apart, make them closer together, down, up. So you adjust the placement and the scale of the eyes, and that is usually all you need to already make a big difference in how this character looks. Maybe we'll want to tweak the nose a little bit, make it bigger, or maybe bring it up higher, just slightly higher. Sometimes it's difficult to grab just the nose. You'll accidentally end up, grabbing other parts of the body. If you keep running into that issue, you could just use the arrow tools on your keyboard to adjust. So there's that nose all the way up there. So he already looks quite different just by modifying the nose a little bit, the eyes a little bit. We'll adjust the eyebrows a little bit. All right, that doesn't look half bad at all. Maybe eyes a little bit on the bigger side. There we go. So he already looks very different. If we wanted to, we can make the ears a little bit smaller maybe. I don't suggest manipulating the mouth too much. You can if you want to, but the mouth uses a different type of construction that's not typical of regular Crazy Talk animator characters. The Kevin mouth basically uses the entire jaw for the mouth, not just the main mouth itself. So I don't suggest manipulating it too much, at least not from the sides. You can make it a little bit smaller if you want, or taller, but I don't recommend going too much overboard with the mouth sprite. Alright, so in this case I've adjusted the face. He already looks significantly different than the default Kevin character. Once more hair styles are available for him, you'll be able to change the hair and have even more options to work with. But for the initial release, you can see that simply by adjusting some of the proportions and scale and stuff like that, you can literally create different characters. Let's go ahead and go back to our regular mode here, and I'm going to drop an instance of Kevin here so that we can take a side-by-side comparison. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So here's our default Kevin character, and here's our modified one. He kind of looks a little bit more Asian. Not too bad, really. Very easy modification. Didn't really take that long. And as you can see, by simply manipulating the eyes, the nose, the ears just slightly, you can literally create like an entire army of new teenager boy characters that you can use in your project. So don't think of Kevin as just one character. Think of him as a framework for building an entire cast of characters. And naturally, by adjusting the body parts and stuff like that, scales and stuff, you'll be able to create significantly different characters. But later on, as more modifications are available, such as hairstyles, different eye types, different noses, different mouth, and everything, you'll literally have a limitless inventory character variations to work with. So the next thing I want to bring your attention to is our color system. And basically, the color system is very simple. So once you have customized the character just the way you want him, we'll focus on adjusting the colors. So we're going to start with the skin. We'll pick, I'll drag and drop 3 different skin stylizers so we can see kind of what these look like. And the skin stylizers are compatible with the Billy characters as well as you know, the new Kevin characters. So as you can see here, I have all sorts of colors ranging from light all the way to very dark skins. So here I'm going to select this top one, and we'll take this stylizer, we'll grab the colors from here using this bucket tool. We're going to click on it and then select our character. The character automatically takes on the properties of this color stylizer. So if we select this one, which is a little bit darker, then we apply it with the paint bucket. Boom. And if we want to go even darker, we can do that. Alright, so I kind of like this middle one here, so we'll stick with that one for now. If we want to change his eyes, we'll use the eye stylizers. We got different colors to choose from. Let's see here, the default one is that green one. Let's go with maybe this hazel colored eyes. Let's see what that looks like. We'll just drop it into our stage and then use the bucket tool to apply it. So now he has those colored eyes there. Let's try these yellow eyes. Okay. Let's see here. Let's try these blue ones. So the stylizers are a great way to give yourself a starting point for your color styles. Sometimes you won't get the color that you want exactly, so you'll just need to pick whichever one is the closest one to what you want. Of course, you can do it the hard way by selecting the character and using the traditional route, which is the render style, but it's a very confusing system. You know, there's all sorts of color groups that you have to contend with, and you know, it's not very practical. You can't really guess. I mean, you pretty much have to guess at what you want as far as the colors, you know. So here we have the skin, for example. So we're going to be looking for the skin color. Here we go. Now, okay, so we'll change the saturation. That just tells it how much of the color is added to the skin. The hue is the actual color itself, and you know. And as you can see, it's just that one part that's changing. Okay, the lines are not changing. All this other stuff is not changing. I would like to point out though, because of the global styles, notice the shade here. So even though my skin changed to this really groovy shade of green, notice the shade itself is also a darker version of that green. That's part of that global shading technique that I'm using on this character. Look at that ear shade right there. So that's also adjusting itself based on the base color. I don't like working with the render style panel. It's very difficult. It's very cumbersome. It's a mess. I try to avoid it whenever possible. So if anything, use it as a last resort. You know, start out with an actual stylizer, which will give you the overall colors. And then if you need to, if for some reason the colors that you chose don't quite meet what you want, you can further tweak it using that feature. So here I am and back into the render style. Let's say I wanted the skin to actually be a little bit darker. I'm just going to go a couple notches down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So just slightly darker on the shade. And let's say maybe I want the skin outlines themselves to be different. I mean, I could do that. I think it's the custom one is the one that I use for the outlines. So let's make the outlines much darker. So here it is, it's practically black. So use the stylizers as a starting point, and then just kind of tweak as needed. Personally, I recommend taking your stylizer itself and modifying that. So whenever you click on the stylizer, it only gives you the necessary options, so you're not flooded with these like the shirt color, the pants color, or anything. You're strictly focusing on either the eyes, the eyebrows, or the skin. So you're only focusing on individual parts. So here's my skin. Let's say I want my I want to make this the outline to be a little bit darker. So we'll just adjust that. We'll just tweak it down a little bit, so that makes the outline a little bit darker. Let's say I want the skin itself to be lighter. I can adjust that just a couple notches. If I wanted to adjust the tongue, the mouth, all that stuff, I can do that from here too. And when I have my color the way I want it, I can do a couple things. I can go in here and I can create a special folder for my styles. So let's see here, new folder, my custom skins. So I've created a new folder just for custom skin colors, and in here I can add that modified skin stylizer and just call it whatever I want, and it'll save it so that I can later on use it in the future. I don't have to recreate it. I'm gonna call it hero skin, I don't know. So later on in the future, if I want to be able to grab that color, I can just drag and drop it from my customs area here, place it there, and just apply it to my character at any time. Okay, I'm gonna do it to this guy too. See? So it's very efficient way of working, very convenient, and it gives really great results. So let's see. So now that we've touched on the skins, now for the uppers and lowers, basically the shirts and pants, there's really not a lot to it. You can use the preset stylizers that are available for stuff like that. But you can just immediately jump into the render styles option. So here we'll have upper 1, that's usually the shirt. Upper 1 and upper 2 is usually the outline. So we'll change the color of that shirt to something else. Now that looks good enough. Now I can also go in here and change that outline color. And for the most part, I really hate working with this particular panel. Okay, so you can do that if you wanted to. If you have Billy's stylizers, you can also use those. Let's see here. I will have some of these default stylizers available for the general Toon Titan stuff. So let's see here. If you have the Billy's stylizers, you can go in here and you grab yourself a copy of the basic stylizers. These are all blank, but they allow you to have, like, stylizers for pretty much everything. So let's say here's my top 1 and top 2. So top 1, we'll play around with a color. So upper, we'll choose a color. And actually I'm going to select all, that way I can have the same color applied to everything, and it'll be adjusting my outline as well at the same time. So I can create an original color from scratch using the blank stylizers. These are not available at the time of this video from the toontitan.com catalog, but they will be available within the next week or so. I am working on translating these from the original Billy stylizers into the new architecture. So they'll be available over the next few days. So let's see here. We'll deselect the effect all, and we'll just make the outline much darker, not that dark, just slightly darker. Okay, so once I have the color that I want, I don't know, let's see here. Let's see if we can get another, like a little bit more reddish tint on him. Let's see here, effect all. Yeah, that's a nice little color there. Okay, so now we'll go back here and we'll just affect the outline. So there, we've created a new stylizer from scratch. We're gonna call this purple shirt. We'll go to custom, and let's see here, we'll select it. We'll call it purple shirt. So in the future I can always come back. I don't have to start from scratch. I have a shirt stylizer that I created from scratch. Drop it in here and apply it to my character, and it looks beautiful. And notice that global shading as well. That shading basically is consistent with the base color itself, so it looks really nice. So you can do this with the pants. I'm not gonna spend too much time on the pants. I mean, the technique is exactly the same. So how do you get the character? Basically, you know, if you're a member of toontitan.com, you have pretty much access to him for free. So there's 3 different membership levels. If you haven't had a chance to check this out, the standard membership gives you access to all the characters in the catalog. You get access to all the boutique items. That's the shirts, the pants, the shoes, things like that, and any motion files that I make available. Those could be walk cycles, dance moves, different motions that you could just drag and drop onto your characters. The professional subscription. Now, the professional subscription, that gives you access to all the characters. It gives you access to all the boutique items. Again, the shirts, the pants, all the dress, the body modifications, things like that, the motion files. You do get access to the assets and props. So whenever I add more things, such as, you know, scenery, different backgrounds, props, things of that nature, you have full access to those for free. The scenes and demo source files, so from time to time I'll publish demonstrations on how to do stuff, and you can download those files from the website and just you know, deconstruct them, learn from them, or modify them for your own usage. There's premium video tutorials that are going to be included with that subscription. And everything else that you don't have free access to, you do get a 75% discount. And that also goes with the standard subscription. The standard subscription gives you all this stuff up here for free, but the other stuff, the software like Toontitan, the source files, the demos, the scenes and demo files, the premium tutorials, you get 50% discounts on those. So the best value, of course, is the pipeline subscription. Pipeline subscription is flat out. It's an all-you-can-eat buffet. You get everything for free at any time. Just log in, download, and use it. notice the pricing. The basic subscription itself is only $10 a month. If you look at the catalog, so if you look at the catalog, we'll go into the characters, for example. So we'll go to Kevin for here, for example. So if you're not a member, you get Kevin. You can buy Kevin for $10, single character, or if you are a member, regardless of what level membership you have, you get them for free. So for the price of one character, you pretty much get access to all the characters. And of course, if you have access to the pipeline subscription, it's $22 a month. So for the price of maybe 2 characters a month, you get access to pretty much everything. And I'm always putting out new stuff. You can request things on the forum. So if you're working on something for your project, you can always request it. We'll add it to my queue, and I'll work on it. I'll release it as part of the membership benefits. Okay, so that's enough of that. So the pricing right now is it's just kind of a early adopter pricing as well, so keep that in mind. The prices are definitely going to go up. If you do subscribe while I'm still in this technically this beta mode, you are going to get grandfathered in. So just kind of as a show of gratitude for helping me while I'm getting this website going, whatever price you sign up at, that's the price that you'll always pay. So that's kind of like a thank you for believing in me and for supporting me and stuff. Even if the pricing goes up, for whatever however high it goes, your rate will always stay the same. Okay, so how does the website work? Okay, so it's not necessary for you to actually install these. Okay, you can install these permanently the way that I've done on some of these guys here. You create your own folders and just bring your files in here. But let's say that there's something that I need, right? So I'll go to my catalog here. We'll navigate the catalog. We'll go to the boutique. And let's say there's kind of these pair of shoes that I'm interested in. I'm gonna go in here. Since I'm a member, I don't have to pay anything for these shoes. I basically just grab them anytime I want. I click the free download option. It downloads. We'll open it. Okay, and we just have to drag and drop them onto the stage here. So we'll go into composer mode for our character. And I'll just grab these shoes and bring them in. Give it a few seconds. And now we have shoes. Now obviously these shoes were created for a different character, but they're shoes, they're kind of one size fits all, really. You take your shoes, we'll make some minor adjustments, and now we have shoes that fit our character. So there we go. Or let's say that I changed my mind, I want them to be barefooted after all. I'll just go back to the website. So there's really no need to install anything at any time. If you're a member, you could just go to the website, download what you want, and immediately drag and drop it into your project. Let's see here, go back to the boutique. And we'll grab the bare feet because I changed my mind about him wearing shoes, so I'm gonna have him go and go back to being barefooted. So we just kind of open it up on a little window there to the side, and go to Crazy Talk, grab our bare feet, drop it in there. Now, because these shoes, these feet are using the same skin mapping, they're probably going to also change the skin. It doesn't always happen, but it does alter the skin. And even if it doesn't, like in this case it didn't, but you can see he has two different skin tones. So we'll need to adjust that. We'll just go back to using our stylizer. We'll grab prop. So here's our custom skin style that we created earlier. We're just going to reapply it to the character, and there we go. So once we have a character that we really like and we're happy with him, we can always save him for future use. So we'll go to the actor tab, we'll go to custom, and we'll just create a new folder here. So oops, we'll create a new folder. We'll call it you know, my film. So if you're working on if you're creating characters for a specific series that you're making, or a commercial or a film or whatever, you can just go ahead and create a folder for all your new custom characters. And let's see here, we're gonna give him a name. We're gonna add him, and let's call him Joe or something. Alright, so now let's make another modification to this character. Go back to your composer mode. Now, when it comes to facial features, the K1 characters, the Kevin characters are backwards compatible with most of the original Billy 2.0 body parts, so that's another added benefit. So here we're going to go to the head section. We're going to look for let's see here, eyes. So here's Billy's eyes. We're going to grab Billy's eyes and we're going to drag and drop them directly onto his face. So now we have a completely new set of eyes, which gives me an additional bit of variety here that I can work with. So when working with eyes, however, that weren't necessarily designed for this particular character, you will have to make some additional adjustments. So let's see here, we're going to remove this. Go back to mirror. Maybe make them a little bit smaller. Results will vary. Get rid of that mirror option. Sometimes you just gotta, you know, finesse things a little bit. Don't worry about those outline colors and those differences in colors. We can always fix those. There we go. So, and of course, you know, go through all the different angles and just kind of adjust the eyes to, you know, whatever you want them to be. Once we have our new eyes the way we want them. Oops, That's not what we wanted. All right. Sometimes you just get visual imperfections. It's just bugs and crazy talk sometimes. All right. See, just wiggle it a little bit. It just kind of falls into place. So there we go. So here we have eyes. We'll go back and look for his stylizers. We'll apply it to the skin, and we'll look for some eye color that we can use. Let's try this chestnut color. Just boom. Boom. All right, so the different set of eyes also gives him a different look, so he's no longer technically the same character. We'll bring back, let's see here. We'll bring back our original Kevin base model so we can have something to compare against. There we go. And of course, we can always cannibalize body parts from other characters. So if I don't have a specific set of eyes already in store, I can just grab any other character. So in this case, I'm going to grab Lucy here. And she is big. Make her a little bit smaller. So she'll fit in the screen. Alright, so with Lucy here, I'm going to grab her and I'm going to go into composer mode. And we're going to cannibalize the eyebrows, the eyes, and the nose. So let's see here, we'll go to custom. And for the sake of this demonstration, I'm just gonna quickly just grab the eyes. We'll call it Lucy. And we'll grab this nose, which is a slightly different style of nose. Sometimes it's hard to grab, so we'll just grab it from here. Because I had eyes selected, I have a feeling it's trying to add these eyes again. We'll ignore that. We'll go into the nose section and we'll apply it here. So there's Lucy. And eyebrows. So facial features are fairly easy to cannibalize. Most of the Billy 2.0 body parts use very similar body structure or design architecture, so they'll be fairly compatible. But I don't necessarily recommend using the Reallusion default ones because the design style is significantly different. They'll work just fine, they just won't quite look right. I'm gonna grab this mouth just out of curiosity. I'm not a big fan of these of this particular mouth in the way that it's built because it doesn't use the full jaw. But just for the heck of it, I'm gonna grab it here so we can experiment with it. And what the heck, we'll grab the hair too. So this is just a demo how you can cannibalize body parts from other characters. So here's the hair. I'm gonna grab Lucy hair. I doubt it'll be fully compatible with it because the head is more round than the actual head on Kevin. So it may be made compatible with certain angles, but other angles will have a little bit of trouble finding their place. The ears might work just fine though. Okay, so that should be more than enough to play around with for now. Let's go back to our character here, and we're going to grab a copy of our base model. Bring them here. We're going to go into composer mode, and we'll select the face. Go to the head tab, and let's see what he looks like with Lucy's eyes. Now we'll definitely have to adjust the size, the scale of these eyes, but it's nothing that is that can't be done. So we're going to go mirror angle linked just so that we can adjust these things across all the different angles. Alright, that should be good enough. Let's try the eyebrows. Eyebrows are a little bit thinner for Lucy. So there we go. See, already looks like a significantly different character. Let's try the ears. Those are huge ears. I mean, if you leave them as is, they look kind of like cat ears or something, which is kind of a cool effect if you're going for some kind of cat creature or something. Maybe with a bigger nose, it might actually play out. Look at that. It's actually kind of accidentally cool there, unexpected. All right, so. There you go. So, I mean, I don't have much faith in the hair itself, but what the heck? Let's try it anyways. This hairstyle is built for a different type of head shape, so I don't expect it'll work right off the bat. And I was accidentally trying to overwrite it, so I'm gonna have to wait for that to finish. We'll ignore that for now. We'll grab this Lucy hair and just drag and drop it into our character. It looks like an alien down there. It's kind of cool looking. Alright, so we'll adjust that right there. So as far as a front angle is concerned, yeah, it kind of works, you know. But I doubt it'll work with the other angles without any significant amount of work to be done. I don't know. I might prove myself wrong here. So there's that character's face there. Let's take a look at how horrible the other angles look. Okay, so if I move this, the ears on the other side are also going to move. So I don't necessarily recommend doing that way. Let's turn off all this stuff here. Let's just kind of see what happens when no, see, we don't want to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the sprite mode here. And now we can adjust it to where we want it to be. Maybe adjust that eye there. So with a few minor adjustments, really, you can actually, you can play around with it. You can do all sorts of stuff with this. And just kind of, go through all the different angles. Just adjust them the way that you want them to be. I'm not going to play around too much with that, but you get the idea. I didn't have too much faith in the hair, but as I play around with it, I think with a little bit of effort, yeah, you could probably make it work. All right, so once we have our body modifications the way we want it to be, go back to our stage here. And we'll grab our original skin color that we created, our custom one here. We'll drop it back into our character just to kind of even everything out again. We can adjust the eyes again. Let's try these yellow eyes. Okay. Very cat-like. Speaking of cat-like, I mean, we can really get creative. If we get rid of the hair, let's zoom in on our character here. I bet we can get a really interesting character out of this by tweaking some of this stuff. Let's see here. Head, eye. Let's go back to our original Kevin eyes. And we will see if we can get rid of the eyebrows here. Sometimes you just don't need certain body parts. We'll just keep what we want. We'll get rid of that hair. It's kind of cool. But I don't have to do that too much. We didn't really get to play around with that other nose. Let's see what that one looks like. The nose that we grabbed from Lucy earlier. I'm going to bring it in, see what that looks like. Of course, I may have to go into the different angles to kind of tweak the these things a little bit just to make them just right. But it's not that difficult to do, so there's nothing to it. Yeah, that's not too bad. Okay. That's not too bad. Let's play around with these body proportions here. Hobbit look like. Looks good enough. Nice little alien looking thing. Zoom out. Let's look for a nice little skin color that we can use. Let's try this nice dark one here. You know what? Let's put some pants on him. back here. Let's tweak the skin a little bit. I'll zoom in on it so we can get a better look. And you do the affect all option. That way we can manipulate all the colors, so we can have a kind of a unified manipulation of all the colors. I'm going to try to make them all kind of a shade of green. A little brighter. Okay. Yeah, it should be good enough. So we'll take that style. We'll apply it. And we'll adjust those pant colors. I'm going to use a stylizer for that. I'm going to use one of Billy's stylizers, one of Billy's blank stylizers. So bottoms should be bottom ones. Shouldn't really require any of the additional colors. So I'm going to take that, affect all. I'm going to go into the saturation, get a nice heavy dose of saturation, and we'll look for a nice color to use, maybe a shade of like blue gray or grayish type of color. There we go. Maybe play around with contrast. That looks decent. Adjust the brightness or darkness. There we go. Ugh. All right, that's not too bad though. We'll make the skin color, I mean the outline color, a little bit darker so we can kind of see. So we'll disable this and we'll just manipulate just the lower 2 color. Make that outline darker so you can see that outline there. Alright, we'll apply it again. There we go. So now we can see some of the detail in there. Alright, we just created a completely different character. We had no idea what we were going to start with. Let's see here. Let's play around with those eyes. Yellow eyes right there, I think will look great. Wow, he really looks crazy. I love it. And let's try and see what he looks like with these white eyes. Very, very interesting. Let's do one more. What am I looking for? Eyes. Let's do the monster eyes. I know I have some here. Here we go. Monster eyes. Completely pitch black. Some highlights. there's any kind of adjustments that we can do to that. They're a little bit dark, but let's try that. Maybe a little bit more subtle. There we go. Let's try this purple eyes. Okay, so basically, hopefully this gives you all sorts of ideas that you can use to create your own variations. You know, the more options you have, the more characters, the more modifications you can mix and match. You know, obviously the more options you're going to have to create your own original creations. This particular character was completely improvised on the fly. I had no idea what we were going to end up with, but you know, we grabbed ears from one character, we grabbed a nose from another character, played around with the colors, the body proportions and stuff, and I mean, we ended up with something that, you know, barely resembles the original character that we started out with. So the new character looks nothing like the original. So, and this is without having to draw a single bit of artwork. All we did was manipulate body parts that were already there by adjusting scale and colors and, you know, removing or adding body parts. Hopefully that gives you some good ideas to work with. Let's move on to some other stuff. I'm not sure if I showed you guys already how the hair colors work, but the hair and eyebrows and stuff like that, they work exactly the same way, you know, the stylizers. So if you go to props, and here we have the hair. We have a ton of different hairstyles to choose from. So let's see this nice little blue shade here. Excuse me. All right. And get rid of that. Let's see here. Go back to some eyes here. We'll get these black eyes. Or maybe these chestnut. Let's go back to those. So we can see some pupils. And we'll adjust the eyebrows. I'll choose some black. Now the eyebrows by default are linked to any kind of body hair. So if this character had body hair, it would take on the properties of the eyebrows. And the default version of Kevin, or the K1 character, also has the eyelashes linked to the color of the eyebrows. So if you don't want to use the same color on the eyelashes as you use on the eyebrows, you can always choose the different set of eyes. So we're gonna go in here, for example, and you can grab the second set of eyes. It's the same set of eyes, it just has different color mappings. So the default character already comes pre-configured to work with the same color as the eyebrows, but if that's not what you want, you can go in here, mouth, hair, brow. No, that's not what I wanted. Eyes. Oh, that's under custom. So we have the default ones, which use the same color as the eyebrows, and we have the black eyelash color eyes. They're the same exact eyes, you just drag and drop the ones that you want. The default ones will be color mapped to the same color as the eyebrows. If that's not what you want, then just replace them with the black eyelash version of them, and that way whenever you change the color of the eyelash, it won't affect, I mean the color of the eyebrow, it won't affect the color of the eyelashes. So you can do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and drop those in there, and I'm gonna leave it as a basic black eyelash. Most cartoon characters will stick to a basic black eyelash, but because of the color architecture that I'm using, I'm trying to make the body hair portion so consistent, so things like eyebrows, eyelashes, mustaches, and beards, chest hair, stuff like that, I'm going to be mapping all of those to the eyebrows, so I should just keep things consistent. So if we go back here and we change the color of the eyes, I mean of the eyebrows, select my character, let's choose a different color eyebrow, just this shade of blue. And notice my eyelash color did not change. So I have a character, kind of looks like something that belongs out of Gorillaz music video. Also, you don't have to go into the composer mode whenever you want to make certain modifications. You could just select your character and just choose runtime composer, and you can edit your character directly from there. So let's see here. Okay. All right, so let's see, what else can we cover before we move on? You know, the speech. Basically, all the different sprites have been mapped and tested and stuff. I'm gonna grab a copy of this sound clip that I have somewhere in here. If I ever clean up my computer, I'll be able to find things easier. Man, I cannot find anything in here. We'll use my handy dandy search tool here, and that's how I find things. So I got this clip from the film The Iron Giant. Drag and drop them into any of these instances of the character. Failed to load wave. Why is that? All right, so by default, it's gonna do, this is a crazy talk feature. It's gonna do its best to try to figure out what it's saying and try to synchronize. Obviously, they might have to do a little bit of cleanup in terms of the phonemes or phonemes, something like that. The mouth actions that it's using. So in this case, let's see here, face. There's your voice clip. All right, and there is the results of our automated lip syncing. So let's see. I'm not gonna do a full-on fix of this. I just want to show you where it's done, where this is done. So we'll select that. We'll get rid of this. And we can actually open up our, let's see here, I believe it's not that. Let's see here, face puppet, no, lips editor, oops, facial mocap, that's pretty useless. I don't think anybody's ever going to use that unless they have an iPhone. Let's see here, lips editor. So we're going to start out with our mouth that's closed. And I want to zoom in on him so we can see him a little bit better. So now we can see him a little bit better. Go back here. Start out with a closed mouth.
You came from the sky, right?
Yee, yee. You look for that sound, something that looks like yee. Let's put that. We'll just put that one there. Alright, so we might not need this one.
Right? From up there?
Okay, that background sound created some artificial movement of the mouth, so we're going to get rid of those. Doesn't really require too much precise cleaning. I mean, you can be as precise with this as you want. But obviously that character's not talking through this whole section, so it's easy to just clean it up.
Right? From up there? Don't you remember anything?
Okay.
Remember anything?
Okay, where it says anything, maybe we want to keep it here. We definitely don't want that woo. Okay, let's see what that looks like.
You came from the sky, right? From up there? Don't you remember anything?
That N is kind of excessive. There's no need for that. All right, maybe we want to emphasize that So, and I'll show you how to fix that. We'll come back to that in a minute because we don't want to trip up these mouth shapes.
Maybe it's that.
All right, maybe we want to manually do this one. I'm just going to completely do this one manually. We scrub and listen to the vowels and consonants. So right here, So it's like an M sound, so that will be the neutral. Maybe. Okay, may, e. And then we go back to b. B, 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 b. B, B, E, 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 E. So if you're doing this manually, it's really not that difficult either, and it's a million times more accurate. So here we go. Maybe, maybe. Get rid of all these. He's not really talking here. Okay, so right here he starts with it's. So it's more of a E. That's good. T. And then s. All right, it's. So the at and then back to t. Alright, we're not going to worry about fixing those other ones too much. That'll look too drastic. But let's take a look at it now.
You came from the sky, right? From up there? Don't you remember anything? Maybe it's that bump on your head.
Perfect. Alright. Well, not perfect, but for the time being it is. Let's look at this section. After you've done all your main, lip syncing, you can kind of sprinkle it with facial gestures. And what I like you doing is going with the sprite modification. Basically sprite switching, because it gives us access to all the sprites, okay? Stuff that don't necessarily, it's not necessarily made for sounds and stuff, but gestures, okay? So so here's the normal, and then okay, maybe tweak it with a okay, so it's just three different, see? So now we're making that sound with facial gestures.
You came from the sky, right? From up there? Don't you remember anything? Maybe it's that bump on your head.
Okay, so at this point I've kind of lost, because these other sprites have kind of superseded my mouth shapes. So now, let's see here. Looks like I've run into a little bit of a bug here. Okay, there we go. We just have to release it so that it's no longer using these keyframes down here, and it goes back to using the original phonemes. So now let's take a look at it.
From the sky, right? From up there? Don't you remember anything? Maybe it's that bump on your head.
All right. So that is kind of how you handle the lip syncing. And of course, because it's a G2 character, you know, you can select him and use the bracket keys to kind of toggle him to different angles and stuff. So that's
Came from the sky, right? From up there? Don't you remember anything? Maybe it's that bump on your head.
okay. Let's try a different angle.
You came from the sky, right? From up there? Don't you remember anything? Maybe it's that bump on your head.
Okay. And now the cool thing about this particular character is that because he's using the full jaw, now you have additional performance possibilities, whereas typically you were kind of stuck using the front and back, I mean front 45 and side view angles. And then the other angles kind of like, you know, you kind of use them just for placement and stuff. But now you can actually get vocal performance, okay? Because now we're looking at him from a different angle, but even though we don't see his mouth,
You came from the sky, right?
we can still see that he's talking.
Don't you remember anything? Maybe it's that bump on your head.
Same thing from the full-on back view. So even though he's facing away from the camera, we can still see that he's literally talking because his jaw is moving.
You came from the sky, right? From up there? Don't you remember anything? Maybe it's that bump on your head.
All right, so that gives you additional performance possibilities there. Let's see here, what else can we cover? The video is getting a little bit long. I'm gonna have to make a shorter one, a little bit more concise, but I wanted this one to be a little bit of a, just kind of a candid workflow kind of a thing, you know, just kind of taking you through the new character, different things you can do with him, how to manipulate him, how to do new things with him, how to take advantage of the stuff that's already available. So let's see here. Let's close this. Let's do the same thing with one of these alien characters that we made. Let's try this purple-faced one. We're gonna bring in that that wave file from scratch one more time.
You came from the sky, right? From up there? Don't you remember anything? Maybe it's that bump on your head.
Okay. So we'll get rid of this guy here so it doesn't get in the way. And we already went through some of the lip syncing stuff, so we're not going to focus on that too much this time around. We're going to leave the little imperfections as is. But let's take a look at some of the puppeteering stuff. Okay, and the puppeteering, of course, works with whatever angle you want to use. All right, so we're going to do some basic facial puppeteering here. Just going to go ahead and record it. When I hit the space bar, we start manipulating, clicking on the button makes them blink. So I'm going to throw a couple of blinks in there. And I probably should have started from the beginning. So let's rewind it. Let's start the recording again. And here we go.
You came from the sky, right? From up there? Don't you remember anything? Maybe it's that bump on your head.
All right, we'll stop the recording. And we'll kind of see what the end results is.
You came from the sky, right? From up there? Don't you remember anything?
There's a little bit of a glitch right there. We can fix that. All right, so that's easy enough to fix. And that'll happen from time to time regardless of which character you're using. So let's see here. Let's try to zoom in so we can get a better view.
You came from the sky, right? From up there? Don't you remember anything?
Alright, so there was one small glitch right there when he... Okay, well there's one there. We'll definitely... Let's take a look at that. So right before it happens, we'll just go frame by frame. Boom, right there. We'll just select the character. Sprite editor. I don't think that's what I want. I think I want the 2D editor. We'll use this face key editor. And so here's that. We'll just kind of tweak this a little bit, just kind of adjust that. We'll move a couple frames and we'll bring that in, maybe do that. We'll just kind of try to close those little gaps as best as possible. Alrighty. So that looks like it took care of that. Let's try.
You came from the sky, right? From up there?
Okay, right there where it says up there, he raises his head a little too much, and we can see part of that back there. I don't really like that. It might not be that noticeable. You might be able to just get away with it, but I'm a little bit picky, so I'm gonna tweak that right there and just bring it down. Alright, so let's see.
You came from the sky, right? From up there? Don't you
Alright,
remember?
so now we introduce some additional stuff there.
You came from the sky, right?
So when it says right, let's fix that right there. And we'll go forward. We'll go here. And we're just going frame by frame until we find some major keyframes here. And we'll go ahead and reset the sprite at this point. And let's take a look.
You came from the sky, right? From up there?
Now there's still one small glitch right there we have to fix. And that one.
It's that bump on your head.
Alright. So let's go back.
You came from the sky, right? From up there?
Alright, we just gotta find some keyframes in there to adjust.
You came from the sky, right? From up there? Don't you remember anything? Maybe it's that bump on your head.
Alright, so that seems to do the trick. So, you know, these deformation tools are really good. It allows you for wider range of expressiveness. So if I wanted to emphasize certain things.
You came from the sky, right? From up there.
So when he goes up there, maybe I want to do some follow through on the, on that chin. So he's right here, and I'm gonna go boom as he lifts. I want this to have some kind of a squash and stretch effect. And then as he's up there, maybe have it contract back up to normal. Alright, so give it more of a Disney feel to it.
Came from the sky, right? From up there?
There we go.
Don't you remember anything? Maybe it's that bump on your head.
So when he goes up there, now he has a little bit more of a stretch and squash feel to his face.
From the sky, right? From up there? Don't you remember anything?
Let's look at him from far away, or see what that looks like.
You came from the sky, right? From up there? Don't you remember anything?
Alright,
Maybe it's that bump on your head.
that doesn't look too bad. Okay, so lastly, basically, you know, once you have a character created, you know, as you saw earlier, you can always save them for future use. So I'm going to go in here, let's see, actor, I'm going to custom tab, and let's see here, characters, my film, we'll save this one as Alien. So without too much effort, I was able to create two different characters. I could have created a lot more by just, you know, further manipulating body parts. Characters are 360, so you can turn them around into any kind of angle you want them to be. I'm not sure if the deformations carry across after you've done them, so I don't recommend doing this after you have performed the animations. Always do the animations on the final angles that you want your performance to be in. Do all your 3D moves first, then do the 2D stuff, because it's kind of hard to go back from 2D back to 3D. So I have a feeling this is going to break. So let's see here.
You came from the sky, right? From up there? Don't you remember anything?
A little bit of breakage, but it's not too bad.
Maybe it's that bump on your head.
So all the other standard features are there. You know, it is a 3D skeletal system, so you can manipulate the character in 3D space. And of course you can apply the any predefined animation that you may already have. G2 animations are perfectly compatible. You can also do your own motion capture stuff and convert it into Crazy Talk compatible motion files. You can use that. You can do that with VBH files, convert them over using 3D Exchange to iMotion files, and they'll work perfectly fine inside of Crazy Talk Animator. Let's see here. Let's look at some basic ones. Idle. Let's do this impatient one. That was too short. Let's add something else.
From the sky, right? From up there? Don't you remember anything? Maybe it's that bump on your head.
Let's tweak those eyes a little bit better. Select the character, animation. We'll go for the face puppet, and we're only gonna be interested in manipulating the eyes. So we're just gonna select the eyes and preview, just a quick preview. Left, right, up, down, and blink. Alright, so that's good. We're gonna go ahead and record.
You came from the sky, right? From up there? Don't you remember anything? Maybe it's that bump on your head.
Alright, that should be good enough. That should blend the motion with the previous file. Let's see what that looks like.
You came from the sky, right? From up there? Don't you remember anything?
I might have added a little bit too many blinks.
Maybe it's that bump on your head.
Alright, so you can get a pretty good performance just doing some of the basic stuff there. Naturally, if you already have it planned out what you want to do, it shouldn't be that hard. Alright, so that's it for this video. Went a little bit overboard in terms of length, but I will create another one more concise based on the specific things. We did cover a lot of stuff in this general run through. Hopefully you know, you guys get a lot of use out of this, and if you have any questions, just feel free to send them my way. You know, either post it in the comments area below in the YouTube section, or send them through the contact form over at toontitan.com. All right.